Hello and welcome back to the next part in my series Building Jimi Hendrix Harley Benton Guitar, where we take a Harley Benton guitar kit and we build something that somehow has something to do with Jimi Hendrix. Let's start. I have here the neck, which is what we're gonna work on today. I've already cut out the headstock shape. And if you know anything about Jimi Hendrix, which you most likely do, you probably know more than I do, since you're watching these videos, I'm just the guy making them. You know that his headstock does not look like this because he has the bigger shaped headstock because he was a 70s Strat, I think. Anyway, I don't really like that headstock shape, so if you're wondering why I don't have that, it's because I just prefer the other shape, a little bit more subtle, classic shape that, you know, doesn't take up too much attention. I've done some things to this, obviously, as you can see, beforehand, just because I feel like there are some things we don't need to go through. And one thing that I've done is I've reshaped the headstock, as I've just said. I've also taped off the fretboard, and I've leveled and I've crowned the frets. I haven't polished them yet because I have a different way of polishing the frets than other people. It's not that much different, but I see a lot of videos of people polishing their frets and I feel like, why are you doing it like that when you could do it this way, which is much easier and faster and better. So I'm gonna show you that. But if you hang around on YouTube watching videos of people building guitars, you most likely know how to like level frets and things like that, or at least you've seen people do it. You make the neck as straight as possible with a notched straight edge, and you put some paint, you color in the frets basically, and then you just sand the frets down with a file or with a sanding beam, and when the paint is gone, the marker paint is all gone, they're all leveled and then you can crown them and things like that. You've probably seen that 100 times. I've done videos doing it. Everyone and their mothers have made videos where they level their frets, so I don't feel like you necessarily need to see me do that in this video. Anyway, I'm rambling, I'm sorry. What we are going to do now is we are going to reshape this neck. I dislike this shape right here. I don't know why they come like that, but other than that, I feel like this neck is really nice, and you don't really have to, but I want to show you how to do it. And I also feel like I kind of want this neck a little bit slimmer. Obviously you have to be careful so you don't take off too much. It goes kind of slowly, so you'll have time to check and see if the neck is getting too thin. So let's just get this started. I feel like I'm talking too much and I'm rambling. I don't really know what I'm saying or what I'm doing, so, you know, we'll talk in the end when I've figured out what I did. Okay, so if you look at the neck, we'll start off with this notch here, and it's just a weird shape. It goes out too much. I like it when it's more rounded over, so I'm just gonna take a pen and I'm just gonna sort of fill in the area that I want to remove and reshape, something like that. Yeah, I think that we'll start off slowly and just go deeper and deeper and deeper until we're satisfied. And now I'm just gonna take the neck like this, and I hope you can see what I'm doing and that I'm not too much out of frames. And I'm just gonna take a knife and I'm just gonna carve away, and I'm gonna start off by taking off maybe a mil or maybe 2, depending on what it looks like, but I'm basically just removing the black paint because I know those are the areas that need to go. So I'm just taking my knife and I'm just cutting away it like this. And I feel like I'm making these videos too long, and I don't know if it's because I'm rambling or if it's because I want to really show everything, but I'm just gonna do this for now, and you don't have to be 100% perfect. It just needs to be 99.9% what you want. But don't focus too much on like the finish, just focus on the reshaping for now. And so I'm gonna spend a little time doing this, and I'll be back real soon. Okay, so as you can see, I've reshaped it now, and I just took a knife and I carved it down, made it as even and smooth as I could with a knife. And it's not perfect yet, but I haven't sanded it. I also used a scraper, just because you can get in there and, you know, move some of those lines that you can easily get with a knife. And I just basically just recarved this. And it's just because I like a more even transition from the neck into the body. So, let's move on to the next step. Okay, so we're outside now because it's a beautiful sunny day, and we're gonna reshape the neck, the back side here. I have it clamped to my sawhorse, and I have here a tool from one of my Guitar Builder's Life Hacks, which is basically just 2 pieces of dowel, 2 pieces of sandpaper, and now I can just move it like this. And depending on how much flex I have, the different way the shaping will be. And so I'm going to go back and forth, taking some off, and then I'm going to sand this smooth with higher and higher and higher grit. This on this is 80, so I'm going to start off with 80 and then come back once I've reached 400. So I'm just going to go back and forth basically like this, and the more down like this I have, the more of a cup or whatever you want to call it shape I get, and the more out like this I have it, the more flattened it will be. And so I'm going to be able to take off, and I'm going to try to take off as little as possible because I really don't want to, you know, mess something up. You can look up online what kind of truss rod you have inside of the neck, and you can go and measure one of those. Most likely this is about a 9mm thick one, which means that I will be able to take off maybe 1/3, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take that much off. Okay, so after sanding the neck, I have sprayed it with some clear lacquer just to give it some nice amber yellowish tone to it. I like that color, and I like the way it looks together with the rest of the guitar, which you're obviously not going to see in this video. But now we're just going to leave it to dry, and then I'm probably going to sand it and clear coat it again, and I'll be back real soon. Okay, so it's the next day, and I have the neck here. It's been left to dry, and it's all good. It looks about how I wanted it to. And now we are going to fix the back of the neck, this area here where your hand will be moving. Some of you might know that if you have a lacquer neck and you sweat a lot, moving it up and down like this might feel kind of sticky and weird and make the neck feel sort of like you get stuck while playing it. And a way you can fix that is by sanding the neck and make it feel more like a satin finish, and so your hand will glide faster. Now you can do this with steel wool and just go back and forth a lot, or you can do it with sandpaper and, you know, move up in grade. There's probably other ways you can do this as well. I haven't tried everything. I am gonna go with sandpaper because I feel that is the best way, and we're gonna go a little bit crazy, and I'll show you how I make it feel even better than most necks when you just, you know, scuff up the lacquer to make it sort of satin. But first off, we're gonna sand the neck, and we're gonna start off at 400 and just take the neck like this and move it back and forth like this. And I'm gonna go up to 1200. So I'm gonna start off here and just go from one to another, and I'll be back in a second or two when I've done this, because you obviously don't need to see me sit like this for half an hour going from one grid to another. And this is maybe one of those things where you're like, whoa, you said half an hour, but it's not that long. It's just, you know, I have to go through all the grids and get a really nice even. And if you're doing this to a guitar that you bought, this one has a really thin coat, so I've already basically sanded through it. I don't know if you can see that, but the neck is almost already done, just sitting here. But if you have a clear coated, you know, bought guitar that you're doing this to, you don't have to sand through all the layers of lacquer. It's not necessary at all. I'm just mostly, you know, probably gonna do that because I've already sanded through the layers. But I only have 2 layers, a colored layer and a clear coat with no color in it. I mean, the color in is just because I kind of like yellowy sort of vintage style tint to it. So I'll be back real soon. Now I've sanded the neck back, and I forgot to say this, but maybe you understood this, but I'm saying it anyway. The guitar kit neck came with some sort of finish on it. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I sanded that. I removed all of it. I sanded it away. And that's just because I replaced the finish with this finish that I have on the neck now. And you don't have to do that. You can definitely keep the finish. Obviously, if you're reshaping the back of the neck, it might be hard to match up the old finish with something new, especially if you don't really know what the finish is. I haven't really looked it up, so maybe it says on Thoman's homepage what kind of finish they used. The other thing I've done is I've also, which I don't know if you can see it yet because it hasn't really dried, but I've put something that I call liquid rust on it. And it's just, you take old rusted screws and you put them in vinegar and you let them dissolve. I know some people say you should put steel wool in vinegar and wait for it to rust, but the thing is, that will take a couple of days. If you have already rusty nails in vinegar, it will like liquefy itself in a couple of hours only. So I just feel like it's faster because you don't have to wait for something to start rusting. You can just take something that's already rusting. And the way I do with this is that I have a little bottle like this where I always keep a little bit of the solution. So I always save a little bit of it, and I can refill it and I can make more, but I can also have this as a starter to make more. So if I, for example, feel like, oh, I'm running out and I only have this much left, I can put this into a bigger container and fill up with more vinegar, and I can keep that as a starter to make more. And so it will go faster to always make more. And I don't really know, this is one of those things where I don't know if it's a placebo effect or if it actually has some sort of merit to it, but I feel like, and this might just be, you know, because I love relic guitars and I like old guitars and I like the way they look. So please, you know, take this with a grain of salt. I'm not trying to like force my ideas on people. I'm just telling you what I'm experienced, so please keep that in mind. But I feel like when I sand back a guitar neck and make it all awesome, I usually wet the neck a little bit, just dampen it a small amount, and then I continue sanding it, and that's because the grains will rise and you can level them and you'll get an even nicer sanding. But I feel like when I do that with the vinegar, especially like this one, it just feels like it becomes even better. I don't know why, but it's like some sort of, I don't know. Every guitar neck that I've done that to, I feel like they've become better necks than if I haven't done it. So I don't know if there is a chemical reaction vinegar has that is rising the grain of the wood up more than what water will or something. But it's just an experience I've had, and I've done this to a lot of guitars. I've probably done this to maybe somewhere around 20-25 guitars as of recording this, and I feel like that's something that has improved all of those guitar necks. I can't think of any guitar that I've done this to where I haven't felt that. So yeah, it also looks cool. I don't know, but I'm gonna leave this to dry now for a bit and I'll be back in half an hour or something. I don't know. See ya. Okay, so I'm back and I sanded the neck and dried it and everything is nice and awesome, and it's up to 1200 grit sandpaper. Yeah, sanded up to 1200 grit. Everything feels really nice and smooth. You know, I can go super fast. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, the thing is, it feels really nice and smooth. Amazing feeling neck right now. You could definitely stop here, but I have a sort of little extra thing that I do just to make the neck a little bit nicer. And this I feel like have worked on a lot of things. You don't necessarily need to do this just on a neck like this one. I've tried it on a couple of other necks, clear coated necks and satin finished glossy necks, you name it. We're gonna use teak oil, which I have a can of here. You could most likely use True Oil or Crimson Guitars oil. They just come in smaller tins, so I don't think they're worth the money. And also I haven't tried it with them. I've only tried it with this, and I don't feel like showing you something that I don't know anything about. So we're gonna go with teak oil. We have a small tiny bit of 1200 grit sandpaper, and we're just taking the teak oil and we're putting some on the sandpaper, and we take the neck and we sand. We go pretty fast, and you'll feel that the neck becomes really warm. You can almost burn yourself on the sandpaper. So yeah, you'll feel it. Take a little bit more and sand the neck real fast and real hard. Press down. You're basically burnishing the neck with the teak oil, and then you put it to the side. Take a piece of leather, regular scrap leather from when you've been building your bow and arrow for Legolas for example, and you're just holding this up, and we're taking the inner part and we're just burnishing it. Basically, you're just moving the scrap leather up and down like this, and trying to get a little bit of heat going, something like that. You can feel the neck. It feels amazing. It really looks amazing. You obviously don't need to, relic it. I have a little bit more on this side than that side, but that's just because I want a feeling of it being a little bit natural and uneven. And now just leave the neck a little bit to dry, and to basically settle in. You can feel the neck a little bit. You obviously, if you feel the neck now, you won't even notice that there is any like oil or anything on it. So yeah, and it's all really good. These are the sort of things that I feel like you'll find on more expensive guitars. The teak oil is, I don't even know if there's any really on the neck, or if it is, it's like being pushed into the grain, a lot. So yeah, I don't know if you can like hear this. I'm trying to find a way to like convey how smooth this neck is. It's like silk or even finer than that. It's like, I don't know, like a baby cheek or something. I don't know. I'm rambling right now, I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop recording before I make a fool of myself, and I'll be back when we go to the frets. As I've already said, I've leveled the frets and I've polished them and everything. No, I haven't polished them. I've leveled the frets and I've crowned them and made everything perfect. And now we're going to the polish part. As I've already said, I never showed you those parts because I feel like there's so many videos and I've already made my own videos, and it's just, don't really need to see more of that. And I want to make the video as short as possible while still, teaching something and making the video worth something. Okay, so a lot of people will polish the frets with a Dremel, and they'll have a small little buffer wheel, and they'll go, over one fret and then the next one, and you can definitely go that way. There's nothing wrong, but it's a more time-consuming and a more expensive way to do things than the way I do it now, and I feel like my way is faster and gives me better results. I've done it that way before. When I started building guitars, I did the polishing by hand, and then I went over to using a Dremel, and then I went over to having a buffer wheel. These are super cheap. You just put them in your drill, you get a little bit of buffing compound, you just start spinning it and you press it in too. The wheel gets a little bit it gets colored, so it's now bluish, which I hope you can see. And then I just take the neck and I just press it in and I go along like this. And I just go like that until the frets are nice and polished. And so all I need is a little bit of pressure and a little bit of masking tape. And I hope you can see now, I'm gonna try to show you, that the first fret has been polished and the second fret hasn't. And hopefully you can see that the first one is super nice and shiny and the rest aren't. So let's just... And you can take your piece of leather and you can just move it across if you wanna, and they will get a little bit warm going and you'll get a little bit more polish going. And I really hope you can see now. It's kind of hard to show the difference, and I suppose this is one of those times you're just gonna have to believe me, because I feel like I'm not able to really show you how big of a difference there is. Okay, so as you can see, I hope at least, the frets are really nice and shiny, and the strings are just gonna glide over these. They're super smooth and polished. Anyway, next thing to do is to remove the masking tape, and you'll see how amazing it all looks. So let's just get a sneak preview of the fretboard without the masking tape on. Okay, so here it is, and I think that looks really nice. I really like this piece of Purple Heart, especially up here by the first fret. I don't know if the camera is able to pick up the nice bit of purple that is in here, going together with the brown and then into this darker part here. But that movement is really nice. Anyway, now a very important step is cleaning your hands, because if you can see, I got a little bit of dirty and I don't want to touch the fretboard really with those dirty fingers. This finger is a little bit clean so I can touch it. But anyway, I'll be back real soon and we'll put some guitar oil on the fretboard. Okay, so here's the neck now, and it looks good, I think. It's nice and even and straight, and the frets are awesome. They're super high polished and they look really nice. Yes. And the neck feels really nice and smooth. I wish there was a way for me to make it so that you could feel the back of the neck too, just so that you would understand what I mean about it feeling really, really, really nice. But anyway, I hope you learned something. Let me know in the comments below if you did. I hope this makes you want to build guitars and inspires you to do stuff. And also, if you wouldn't mind letting me know what you think of my Brandon Flowers mustache. It's not as nice as his, I think, but it's coming along. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, if you like the video, I would appreciate if you give it a thumbs up. If it helped you somehow or inspired you somehow, I would like you to tell me so in the comments below. You know, don't forget to subscribe. That helps me out and lets me know that you like the videos and appreciate them and that you want to see more things. So please do. You don't have to if you don't wanna. I don't want to force anything upon anyone, but you know, Anyway, until the next time, stay awesome and cool and go and build something. Maybe a super fast, super slick guitar neck that blows all your friends away? Yes, maybe that.